Question 1. A project manager finds that the project team is highly engaged and self-organizing, frequently collaborating to resolve issues without direct intervention. Which of the following leadership styles is most appropriate in this situation according to adaptive project management principles? A. Authoritative. B. Laissez-faire. C. Servant leadership. D. Transactional. Answer: C. Servant leadership. Servant leadership is the most appropriate style when a team is highly engaged and self-organizing, as it focuses on supporting the team's growth, removing impediments, and fostering an environment where they can succeed, rather than issuing commands. This style aligns perfectly with Agile principles, where the project manager or Scrum Master acts as a facilitator and coach, empowering the team to make decisions and solve problems independently. For example, a servant leader might help the team secure necessary resources or facilitate a discussion, allowing the team to devise the solution itself. A good way to remember this is that a servant leader serves the team first, enabling their productivity and autonomy. Question 2. During a project's execution phase, a key stakeholder expresses concerns that the project deliverables are not aligning with their initial expectations, despite being consistent with the approved requirements documentation. What should the project manager do first? A. Document the stakeholder's concerns as a change request and submit it to the Change Control Board. B. Re-baseline the project scope to incorporate the stakeholder's new expectations. C. Review the stakeholder engagement plan and communication management plan to understand the disconnect. D. Inform the stakeholder that the project is proceeding according to the approved scope baseline. Answer: C. Review the stakeholder engagement plan and communication management plan to understand the disconnect. The project manager's initial action should be to understand the root cause of the stakeholder's concerns by reviewing the stakeholder engagement and communication plans. This helps determine if there was a gap in communication, expectation setting, or understanding of the approved requirements, which is a crucial first step before considering changes or dismissing concerns. For instance, perhaps the stakeholder was not adequately involved in the requirements definition phase, or the communication frequency was insufficient. Understanding the disconnect is essential for effective stakeholder management, as it prevents unnecessary scope changes and maintains relationships. Always seek to understand before acting, especially with stakeholder issues. Question 3. In a Scrum environment, which role is primarily responsible for maximizing the value of the product resulting from the work of the development team? A. The Scrum Master. B. The Project Manager. C. The Product Owner. D. The Development Team. Answer: C. The Product Owner. The Product Owner is singularly responsible for maximizing the value of the product, which includes managing the product backlog, ordering items, and ensuring the backlog is clear and understood by the development team. This role acts as the voice of the customer and business, making crucial decisions about what features to build next to deliver the most value. For example, they decide whether to prioritize a new customer-facing feature over a technical improvement based on business impact. Remember, the product owner is all about what to build to maximize value for the stakeholders. Question 4. A project team is experiencing frequent changes in requirements, even after the initial scope has been defined and baselined. The project manager needs to manage these changes effectively while maintaining project control. Which PMBOK 7th edition performance domain is most directly relevant to this situation? A. Planning performance domain. B. Project work performance domain. C. Measurement performance domain. D. Change performance domain. Answer: D. Change performance domain. The change performance domain focuses on managing changes throughout the project lifecycle to achieve the desired future state, which is directly relevant when requirements are frequently changing. This domain involves establishing a robust change management process, assessing the impact of changes, and ensuring they are communicated and integrated effectively. For example, the project manager would use this domain to guide the team in analyzing each new requirement's impact on scope, schedule, and cost before approving it. Keeping a tight handle on changes helps prevent scope creep and ensures the project delivers the intended value. Question 5. A project manager identifies a potential risk. Our key supplier may go out of business, delaying critical material delivery by 3 months. The project team decides to identify an alternative supplier and establish a backup contract. Which risk response strategy is being used? A. Mitigate. B. Accept. C. Transfer. D. Avoid. Answer: A. Mitigate. Mitigate is the risk response strategy used when the project team takes steps to reduce the probability or impact of a negative risk event. By identifying an alternative supplier and establishing a backup contract, the team is actively taking action to lessen the potential impact of the key supplier going out of business, even if it doesn't entirely eliminate the risk. For instance, having a second supplier ready minimizes the delay should the primary one fail. This approach is proactive and focuses on making the risk less severe if it occurs. Question 6. During a project status meeting, a project manager is asked by a stakeholder how key decisions are being made and communicated to all relevant parties. Which project document would best address this stakeholder's question? A. Risk Management Plan. B. Communications Management Plan. C. Stakeholder Engagement Plan. D. Project Charter. Answer: B. Communications Management Plan. The Communications Management Plan details how, when, and by whom project information will be administered and disseminated. It specifies the types of communication, formats, methods, and timing for sharing information, including key decisions, to ensure all relevant parties are informed. For example, it would outline whether decisions are communicated via email, a project portal, or specific meetings, and who is responsible for sending them. This plan is crucial for managing expectations and ensuring transparency throughout the project lifecycle. Question 7. A project manager on an Agile project is constantly seeking to remove obstacles for the team, facilitate discussions, and empower them to make decisions. This behavior aligns best with which project management role? A. Controller. B. Dictator. C. Servant leader. D. Micromanager. Answer: C. Servant leader. The role of a servant leader aligns perfectly with removing obstacles, facilitating discussions, and empowering the team, especially in Agile environments. A servant leader focuses on serving the needs of the team, enabling them to be productive and self-organizing by clearing impediments and coaching them toward solutions, rather than dictating tasks. For instance, if the team lacks a critical software license, the servant leader would prioritize acquiring it for them. This leadership style trusts the team's capabilities and fosters a collaborative atmosphere. Question 8. A project team is debating whether to invest in extensive upfront design and prototyping to prevent defects, or to rely on rigorous testing at the end of the development cycle to catch defects. According to quality management principles, which approach is generally more cost-effective? A. Rigorous testing at the end of the development cycle. B. Extensive upfront design and prototyping to prevent defects. C. A combination of both approaches, with equal emphasis. D. Outsourcing quality control to a third party. Answer: B. Extensive upfront design and prototyping to prevent defects. According to quality management principles, prevention is always more cost-effective than inspection. Investing in extensive upfront design and prototyping helps prevent defects from occurring in the first place, which significantly reduces the cost of rework, bug fixes, and potential customer dissatisfaction later in the project. For example, finding and fixing a design flaw on paper is far cheaper than correcting it after the product has been built and deployed. Focusing on prevention minimizes waste and improves overall quality. Question 9. A project manager receives a request to add significant new features that were not part of the original scope. What is the appropriate process for handling this request in a traditional project management environment? A. Implement the changes immediately to satisfy the stakeholder. B. Inform the stakeholder that no further changes can be accepted. C. Create a change request, analyze its impact, and submit it to the Change Control Board for approval. D. Add the features to the backlog for consideration in a future release. Answer: C. Create a change request, analyze its impact, and submit it to the Change Control Board for approval. In a traditional project management environment, any significant new feature request that affects the baseline scope must follow a formal change control process. This involves documenting the request as a change request, thoroughly analyzing its impact on scope, schedule, cost, and quality, and then presenting it to the Change Control Board for formal approval or rejection. For example, if a new feature requires additional resources and extends the timeline, the board evaluates these impacts before deciding. This structured approach helps maintain project control and prevents scope creep. Question 10. A project team is halfway through a sprint and realizes they are behind schedule on several critical backlog items. The Scrum Master facilitates a discussion to help the team understand the impediments and replan their remaining work for the sprint. This is an example of which key Scrum principle in action. A. Transparency. B. Inspection. C. Adaptation. D. Self-organization. Answer: C. Adaptation. Adaptation is a core Scrum principle where the Scrum team adjusts its process or product based on what it learns from inspection. When the team realizes they are behind schedule and replans their work for the sprint, they are adapting to the current reality of the project's progress and impediments. For instance, they might decide to descope certain less critical items or collaborate differently to catch up. This ability to continuously adjust plans based on feedback and real-time conditions is fundamental to Agile success. Question 11. In a project schedule, the critical path is defined as A. The sequence of activities that has the least amount of float. B. The sequence of activities that determines the earliest completion date of the project. C. The path with the highest risk activities. D. The path that involves the most complex technical work. Answer: B. The sequence of activities that determines the earliest completion date of the project. The critical path is the longest path of planned activities through a project network diagram, and it determines the shortest possible duration for the project. Any delay on an activity on the critical path will directly delay the entire project, as these activities have zero float, or slack. For example, if building a house requires pouring the foundation before framing, and framing before roofing, these activities might form the critical path if they have no flexibility. Understanding the critical path is crucial for effective schedule management and focusing efforts on activities that could impact the project end date. Question 12. During the sprint planning meeting, the Scrum team decides which product backlog items they can complete within the sprint and how they will deliver them. The selected items, along with the plan for delivering them, constitute which Scrum artifact? A. Product backlog. B. Sprint goal. C. Increment. D. Sprint backlog. Answer: D. Sprint backlog. The sprint backlog is a Scrum artifact that comprises the product backlog items selected for the sprint, plus the plan for delivering the increment and realizing the sprint goal. It is a forecast by the development team about what functionality will be in the next increment and the work needed to deliver that functionality. For instance, if the product backlog lists user login and password reset, the sprint backlog would contain these items along with the specific tasks needed to complete them within the sprint. It is essentially the team's detailed plan for the current sprint. Question 13. A project manager is overseeing the acquisition of custom-designed software for a new manufacturing process. The requirements are complex and likely to evolve, and the risk of significant changes in the scope during development is high. Which contract type would generally be most suitable in this scenario? A. Fixed price contract. B. Cost plus fixed fee, CPFF, contract. C. Time and material, TNM, contract. D. Unit price contract. Answer: B. Cost plus fixed fee, CPFF, contract. A cost plus fixed fee, CPFF, contract is generally most suitable for projects with uncertain requirements, where the scope is likely to evolve, or when the risks are high. This contract type reimburses the seller for all allowable costs incurred plus a fixed fee, providing flexibility for scope changes while ensuring the seller covers their expenses. For example, if custom software development might require significant redesigns based on early user feedback, a CPFF contract offers the buyer more flexibility without committing to an unrealistic fixed price. This type of contract protects the seller from high costs associated with unforeseen changes and allows the buyer to adapt requirements. Question 14. A project manager observes that the project team is highly skilled and motivated, but individual team members are struggling to align their efforts and work cohesively towards shared goals. Which team development stage are they likely in, and what is the project manager's primary focus? A. Forming, providing clear instructions. B. Storming, facilitating conflict resolution and establishing norms. C. Norming, fostering strong relationships and trust. D. Performing, celebrating achievements. Answer: B. Storming, facilitating conflict resolution and establishing norms. The scenario describes a team that is skilled and motivated individually but struggles with cohesion and alignment, which is characteristic of the storming stage of team development, Tuckman stages. In this stage, team members might compete for roles, express disagreements, or struggle with processes. The project manager's primary focus here should be on facilitating conflict resolution, helping the team establish clear roles and responsibilities, and defining working norms to move towards a more cohesive state. For example, setting up ground rules for meetings or mediating disagreements can help the team navigate this stage. Question 15. A project has successfully delivered all its planned outputs, and the final deliverables have been accepted by the client. What is the next crucial step in formal project closure? A. Initiating the next phase of the project. B. Releasing the project team to other assignments. C. Obtaining final sign-off, archiving project documents, and conducting lessons learned. D. Reviewing the project budget against actual expenditures. Answer: C. Obtaining final sign-off, archiving project documents, and conducting lessons learned. After deliverables are accepted, the next crucial step in formal project closure involves obtaining formal final sign-off from all relevant stakeholders to confirm completion. It also includes archiving all project documents and records to ensure historical information is preserved, and conducting lessons learned sessions to capture knowledge that can benefit future projects. For instance, the project manager would gather the team to discuss what went well, what could improve, and document these insights. This ensures the project is formally concluded and organizational learning is maximized. Question 16. The Agile Manifesto states that customer collaboration over contract negotiation is a core value. How does this principle primarily impact a project's approach to requirements? A. It promotes detailed, fixed requirements captured up front in a contract. B. It encourages continuous stakeholder involvement and feedback to shape evolving requirements. C. It shifts all risk of changing requirements to the customer. D. It suggests that contracts are unnecessary in Agile projects. Answer: B. It encourages continuous stakeholder involvement and feedback to shape evolving requirements. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation emphasizes that working closely with the customer on an ongoing basis is more valuable than rigid adherence to a detailed, upfront contract. This principle leads to continuous stakeholder involvement, ensuring that requirements can evolve and be refined based on regular feedback, rather than being fixed. For example, instead of a detailed 100-page requirements document, Agile teams might use user stories and frequent demos to gather feedback and adjust as they build. This allows the product to better meet the true needs of the customer as they become clearer. Question 17. A business analyst is preparing to elicit requirements for a new system. The stakeholders are geographically dispersed and have varying levels of technical understanding. Which requirements elicitation technique would be most effective in gathering detailed input from all stakeholders while accommodating their diverse locations and technical backgrounds? A. Focus groups. B. Interviews. C. Questionnaires and surveys. D. Workshops. Answer: C. Questionnaires and surveys. Questionnaires and surveys are highly effective for eliciting requirements from geographically dispersed stakeholders and those with varying technical understanding. They allow for asynchronous input, can be tailored with clear language to suit different technical levels, and enable a broad reach without requiring everyone to be in the same place at the same time. For instance, a survey can collect opinions from a large number of global users about desired features without the logistical challenges of a meeting. This method ensures comprehensive data collection while being flexible for participants. Question 18. A project manager is finding it difficult to motivate the team and secure necessary resources due to resistance from functional managers and a lack of clear direction from senior leadership. Which PMBOK 7th edition performance domain is the project manager struggling with most directly? A. Team performance domain. B. Development approach and life cycle performance domain. C. Leadership performance domain. D. Measurement performance domain. Answer: C. Leadership performance domain. The project managers struggle to motivate the team, secure resources due to resistance from functional managers, and navigate a lack of clear direction from senior leadership directly falls under the leadership performance domain. This domain emphasizes guiding, motivating, and directing a project team and other stakeholders to achieve project objectives. Effective leadership involves influencing others, resolving conflicts, and navigating organizational politics to ensure project success. For example, a strong leader would proactively engage functional managers and senior leadership to gain their buy-in and clarify project priorities. Question 19. What is the primary purpose of a project charter? A. To provide a detailed breakdown of all project tasks. B. To formally authorize the project and appoint the project manager. C. To outline the project's financial budget and funding sources. D. To document all project risks and their mitigation strategies. Answer: B. To formally authorize the project and appoint the project manager. The project charter is a foundational document that formally authorizes the existence of a project and grants the project manager the authority to apply organizational resources to project activities. It is developed early in the initiating process group and provides a high-level overview of the project's purpose, objectives, and key stakeholders. For instance, a charter for a new product development project would state its business case, high-level scope, and assign the project manager responsibility. This document is essential for providing clear direction and legitimacy to the project. Question 20. At the end of every sprint, the Scrum team holds a sprint retrospective. What is the main objective of this event? A. To demonstrate the completed increment to stakeholders. B. To discuss what went well, what could be improved, and create plans for improvement. C. To forecast the work that can be done in the next sprint. D. To inspect the progress toward the sprint goal and adapt the product backlog. Answer: B. To discuss what went well, what could be improved, and create plans for improvement. The main objective of the sprint retrospective is to inspect how the last sprint went with regards to individuals, interactions, processes, and tools, and to identify and plan improvements. It's a dedicated time for the Scrum team to reflect on their performance and collaborate on actionable improvements for the upcoming sprint. For example, the team might identify that their daily stand-ups are too long and decide to timebox them more strictly. This continuous improvement mindset is critical for Agile teams to enhance their effectiveness over time. Question 21. Which project management process involves developing the project management plan, a comprehensive document that defines how the project will be executed, monitored, controlled, and closed? A. Direct and manage project work. B. Plan scope management. C. Develop project management plan. D. Integrate project baselines. Answer: C. Develop project management plan. The develop project management plan process is where all subsidiary plans, like scope, schedule, cost, quality, risk, communications, resource, procurement, stakeholder management plans, are integrated and consolidated into one comprehensive project management plan. This overarching plan serves as the baseline for how the project will be executed, monitored, controlled, and closed. For instance, this is where the project manager ensures the schedule plan aligns with the resource availability plan. This is a crucial output of the planning process group, providing a roadmap for the entire project. Question 22. When evaluating project risks, a project manager assesses both the probability of the risk occurring and its potential impact on project objectives. What is the purpose of this assessment? A. To determine if the project should be cancelled. B. To calculate the exact financial cost of each risk. C. To prioritize risks and inform risk response planning. D. To assign responsibility for each risk to a team member. Answer: C. To prioritize risks and inform risk response planning. Assessing both the probability and impact of risks allows the project manager to prioritize them effectively. Risks with high probability and high impact are generally considered more critical and require more immediate and robust response planning compared to those with low probability and low impact. For example, a risk with a 90% chance of high impact warrants immediate mitigation efforts, whereas a 5% chance of minor impact might just be monitored. This prioritization ensures that project resources are focused on managing the most significant threats and opportunities. Question 23. A project team is applying lean principles to their development process. Which of the following activities would they actively seek to eliminate as a form of waste? A. Value stream mapping to identify bottlenecks. B. Overproduction of features not yet needed by the customer. C. Continuous delivery of small increments. D. Daily stand-up meetings to synchronize work. Answer: B. Overproduction of features not yet needed by the customer. Overproduction, which includes building features or products before they are actually needed or demanded by the customer, is considered one of the 7 wastes in lean principles. This waste ties up resources, creates inventory, and increases the risk of rework if requirements change. For instance, developing a complex feature set that the market isn't ready for is a form of overproduction. Lean advocates for a pull system, where work is initiated only when there's a clear demand, minimizing unnecessary effort and maximizing efficiency. Question 24. A project manager is mediating a conflict between 2 team members who disagree on the technical approach for a critical deliverable. Both members are highly skilled and passionate about their ideas. Which conflict resolution technique would be most appropriate for the project manager to use to achieve the best outcome for the project? A. Forcing. B. Compromising. C. Collaborating. D. Avoiding. Answer: C. Collaborating. Collaborating, also known as problem solving or consensus building, is the most appropriate conflict resolution technique in this scenario because it aims to incorporate multiple viewpoints to arrive at the best solution for the project. By openly discussing ideas, understanding underlying concerns, and seeking a win-win outcome, both highly skilled and passionate team members can contribute their expertise. For example, the project manager might facilitate a brainstorming session where both technical approaches are analyzed to find an even better, combined solution. This approach builds trust and leads to strong, sustainable solutions. Question 25. A project is experiencing scope creep, where minor, undocumented changes and additions to the project's scope are gradually increasing. What is the most effective way for a project manager to prevent or manage scope creep? A. Regularly communicating with stakeholders to identify new requirements. B. Implementing a strict change control process and educating stakeholders on its importance. C. Adding a buffer to the project schedule and budget to accommodate unforeseen changes. D. Relying on the project team's discretion to decide which changes are necessary. Answer: B. Implementing a strict change control process and educating stakeholders on its importance. The most effective way to prevent or manage scope creep is by implementing and enforcing a strict change control process and educating stakeholders on its importance. This ensures that any proposed changes are formally documented, reviewed for impact on baselines, and approved before being incorporated into the project. For example, if a stakeholder requests a small feature, the project manager would guide them through the change request form. This disciplined approach maintains control over the project's scope and prevents uncontrolled expansion that can derail the project.